There are so many myths about labor online, and I don't know if it's from people who just experienced with their one birth or kind of how they remember it, but today I want to debunk 3 of the biggest labor myths that are out there. I think you're going to find this really helpful because it can be really confusing going into labor, even though you think it will be really clear. And honestly, much of my life has been like that. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's jump into it.
Announcement. The pregnancy nurse is a nurse, but not your nurse. This is informational, not medical advice. Thank you.
And honestly, this is something that I'm really good at because I spent 20 years at the bedside talking to patients about if they were in labor or not, triaging patients like that. I actually have a whole labor signs checklist that I'm going to link to down below in case you want to remember these on your own. It'll come right to your email box, totally free. The number 1 myth is that contractions equal labor. Now, it is very normal for your uterus, and yes, I did just knock over my camera while I was trying to grab this uterus, but it is very normal for your uterus to have contractions throughout your pregnancy, just from it being irritable, things that happen. I don't know if you're in your 3rd trimester, but a lot of times when I would stand up, I would often get a contraction. So just because you are having a contraction does not mean that you are in labor. Now, you want to know the preterm labor signs and symptoms for sure. And if, you're before 34 or 35 weeks and you're having consistent contractions, you definitely want to call your provider. But I've actually had patients who come into labor and delivery and are like, I had a contraction, I'm here. And I'm like, did you have anything else? Did you have multiple contractions? And they're like, nope, just one. No, not labor. Sorry, guys. And if you're loving these, I didn't know that was a thing, come join me in the online prenatal class for couples where we go over lots of how to know if you're in labor, what to do when you're in early labor at home, because that's a whole other mess. I'll link that class down below. The next myth is that when your mucus plug falls out, it's labor. I can't tell you how many patients I've had come in with photos on their phone, or my personal favorite, not a favorite, I was kidding, that's sarcasm, their mucus plug in a Tupperware that they brought in for me. Please do not do that. We believe you if it happens. We do not need to see it. Of course, it's better than the people who brought me lice in a Tupperware container when I worked for a pediatrician, but yeah. Okay, back to labor. Your mucus plug does not mean that you're in labor or even that you're going into labor in the next few hours. I do think that in general, if your mucus plug falls out, it does show that something's happening. Usually in the next week, maybe you'll have your baby. But I'm here to say I actually did not see my mucus plug on my first 2 babies. I only saw it on my final baby. So you don't have to have your mucus plug fall out or see it. A lot of people, I think maybe it pops in the toilet and they don't even notice because they're busy people, right? You don't need to have it in order to go into labor, and it does not mean that you're going into labor. I actually have a whole video on the mucus plug, which I know you guys think is super magical. I'm going to link it down below. The 3rd myth is that when your water breaks, you are immediately in labor. Now, most people's water breaks when they are in labor, but some people's water breaks when they are actually not even in labor. Studies show that most people are going to go into labor within 24 to 48 hours of that water breaking. But just because your water breaks doesn't always mean you need to go straight into the hospital. It does mean you should call your provider. I actually have a bunch of videos here about what to do if your water breaks. I'm going to link them down below. But just because your water's broken doesn't mean that you're in labor. It might. You got to look for the other signs and symptoms as well. And again, I gave you that whole labor signs checklist that you guys can check out if you want more on it. But if your water breaks, definitely call your provider because you're going to want to just touch base with them and see what your next plans are going to be. Super smart. Most providers should have somebody on for them 24/7. Ask your provider who you should be calling if it is after office hours and you need to get hold of them because they should have somebody on. Now, I've told you these myths, but what are the actual labor signs? I actually have a whole video on it. I'm going to link it up above and down below. Thanks for joining us here on The Pregnancy Nurse, where we get you prepared, not scared, for your upcoming hospital birth.